David, thanks for being with us again this morning. You know, there's always heightened nervousness ahead of New Year's Eve when it comes to safe places to celebrate. How do you determine if this threat in Europe is unique, if it's dangerous, or if it's more like a hoax considering the time of year?
It's very difficult to determine. I haven't seen the intelligence reports. They don't have a lot of specificity. They basically say that there will be attacks between Christmas and New Year's. They'll use guns or explosives, which most of these terrorist attacks do use. So it's difficult to decide how to prepare for these terrorist attacks. But we have to assume that ISIS intends to do more attacks, especially in Europe. I just got back from Iraq last week. The forces on the ground tell me that European forces are participating more in the battle against ISIS, especially the French forces. You have to assume that ISIS is aware of that and they want to retaliate where they can retaliate. In Europe, they probably still do have some more cells and they probably do intend to do attacks. So we have to be vigilant. The French police have made clear they have many more police forces on the ground, and they're recruiting more police forces. I assume the other countries that are potentially impacted by this are doing the same, like Austria. But without any more specificity, it's hard for a person to decide, how to, engage or not engage as a result of this warning. We just have to be aware that during this week and next week and for the foreseeable future, there could be attacks, especially in Europe.
And so we're aware, we're sharing this information, and with the Paris attacks happening so recently, of course we understand why people get nervous, but these warnings are vague. I mean, should we really be hyperventilating about this? Because at the end of the day, aren't terrorists trying to limit the freedoms that all of us enjoy in the West? So the threat is vague. So what can security officials even do? What measures can they even take?
There's really not a lot they can do other than putting more police on the ground and in places where they think attacks might happen. That especially means in places where people congregate. And I think that's certainly what the European police forces are doing. But other than that, and other than being vigilant about the surveillance that they do, there's not a lot that they can do. And we have to assume that ISIS does intend to attack where it can attack. That means especially in Europe, in order to retaliate for the greater participation by the European countries in the fight against ISIS and in the coalition, but also in the U.S., of course, too. And I think we'll see over the next few months whether ISIS still has that capability. I assume that they do, and they will attempt to activate it.
And just to play devil's advocate here, I mean, considering what happened in the wake of the Paris attacks, you've got all these European nations sharing more intelligence, looking through terror watch list names and connecting dots where they perhaps wouldn't have before. Considering that, ISIS knows that, would they likely plan something so soon again in Europe?
Well, ISIS is very clever, so they will, whatever their next attack will be, they'll do it in a way, in an attempt to evade detection. And so surprise is a big element of their attack, so perhaps they'll try and attack a country that forces and authorities don't expect will be attacked. Perhaps they'll attack somewhere else, not in Europe or in the U.S., but against European or U.S. interests. They're probably very, wise and clever to the ways that they're surveilled, and they're doing everything they can to evade detection through surveillance, meaning maybe not using electronics as much this time. And there'll be some aspect of surprise to the attack, and that's likely why it will be successful, if it is successful.
All right. Again, this news that there is information coming from a friendly source that there may be an attack in Europe sometime between now and New Year's. David Tafuri, thanks for your insight on that. The message here is that people should still enjoy themselves and have some fun before the new year. We'll follow this story. David, thanks a lot.